Hello, welcome to our final episode of Infinite Recharge Part Two. We're really glad to have everybody on today. We've got a great lineup. With me tonight is Dr. Sylvia Thomas from USF College of Engineering. Dr. Thomas, thank you so much for joining us. Could you tell folks a little bit about yourself before we get started with the students?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Terry, for having me here. I'm excited to hear what the students have to present. I'm an associate professor at the Department of Electrical Engineering at the University of South Florida. Go Bulls. And my work is primarily focused on looking at bio and electronic devices using membrane technology. And so across that space, we look at membrane technology for water filtration, for glucose sensing for diabetic patients. In addition to that, we look at these membrane technologies for anti-reflective coatings for solar cells to make, our solar cells better for energy efficiency. In addition to that, I do a lot of community engagement in terms of broadening participation and engaging with students and supporting students, mentoring them, nurturing them, and working with programs like Terry to encourage students to, dream their biggest dream in terms of this world of emerging technology. So students, I'm very proud of you and congratulations for making it this far. And so let's take it to the finish line.
Thank you so much. And Dr. Thomas has been part of our the start of our All the Colors Career Diversity series, which we're really excited about. We're going to be doing more of those. So we really appreciate everything you do to support STEM initiatives and the youth that are going through these programs. So we're actually going to start our conversation tonight with Royal Robotics from River Ridge High School in Port Richey. And I'm going to bring a couple of the students on here, and we'll bring Dr. Thomas back in a little bit. And with us tonight, we have got, we've got Jasmine, and we've got Ryan. Do we have any other students on here? We have a whole bunch of people backstage, so I think we've got you two this evening, right?
Yeah.
Well, we would love to hear how your season has gone. I know it's been a really challenging season. There's a lot of different things going on. Tell us a little bit about what you've been doing and what you found the most exciting and interesting about the season.
So the season itself, it's been very different from previous seasons. I know this is my 5th year on the team, and it's really different, but I would say it's in a good way. One of the things that's new this year was the game design challenge, and I feel like that's something everyone looks forward to because everyone on the team always has these ideas for like different games, and sometimes we would joke about it. And we ended up coming up with a really cool one. We called it First Responders, and it was essentially you had to put out fires and stuff like that, and just gain points that way. But it was interesting because it's not a normal meeting that we had. It was all virtual. And I feel like we actually got more stuff done that way since we were able to meet outside of school hours. And I feel like a lot more of us were able to participate because of that. And then we also had...
Good observation. I like that.
Yeah. And then we also, of course, got to build the robot a bit.
It was actually, I would personally like to say it was more of a difficult task because of the COVID-19 situation. It only allowed certain amount of people to work on the robot at a time. But even though with the restrictions we had, we were able to get the robot done, fully programmed and finished. Such as our robot is more of a shorter, compact design. It's our very known 6-wheel drivetrain, and we have a 4 Falcon 500 single speed gearbox. Our intake and sequencer, actually, we like to call it the Sequintake not the Sequintake, the Spindexer, because we have 2 flaps of rubber on a single, or attached to a single motor, allowing it to spin and feed the balls into our feeder, which runs on,
It's a Friday. You're good.
Our feeder sorts our sequencer sorts and transfers balls into the shooter in under 5 seconds. And our turn and shooter, it's run on 2 Falcon 500s. Our limelight and our precision aiming and distance calculations, and our climber and color wheel. It's a cascade climber. So we have it all tucked in, and then when we go to extend, it comes all out, hooks on, and we use it. I would like to say, I don't want to say suck it back in, but that's basically how it is.
That's pretty cool.
And the cool part is our intake and is on pneumatic, so we can suck it back in. So when we're not using it, it doesn't get in the way of anything.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing it. I think you guys are going to come out when we do our spring scrimmage at Amrock, and so it'd be really exciting to see it. We'll make sure we get some video of all of that to share with everybody.
Yeah, and speaking of the competitions, that's another thing that's been a little bit different this year with the virtual challenges. And I know something all of our team members have always looked forward to was being able to compete. And we wanted some of our new members to gain that experience. And we decided to do something we call Intra-Team Competition. Since the 2020 and 2021 games were very similar, and the robots themselves were also similar in design, what we decided to do was separate the team in half, and they've had a couple of weeks now, and they've been altering the robots slightly for a revised version of the game. And we actually added something cool in it. The gears from the 2017 game, we actually are using those as a game piece, so both teams had to build another mechanism that could manipulate those. And we're hoping to have, I think, competitions between the two teams next week. And I think that was a good thing that we're doing, simply because it gives our new members that sense of competition that they weren't really able to get this year. I mean, there's the scrimmages, but very few new members were able to attend earlier in the year. Hopefully we'll be able to have more attend at the next one.
Very nice. That's really fantastic. We were doing something similar with the First Tech Challenge team, and Jaleese, who's on with our team, will be able to chat about some of that later on. One of us has a noisy mic or background. It might be me. I'm not too sure. But I think that's fantastic. I think having a way for the new students to be able to participate is really incredible.
Yeah, it was actually, this year is actually my first year on the team. So being able to have this inter-team competition really, like, kind of, I would like to say, brings the competition to us instead of having to go out and compete and, you know, risk COVID situation. So it is nice, especially with the gears. That was one of the main challenges of having to, like, come up with a mechanism. But both teams managed to have a very functioning and good mechanism, actually.
That's fantastic. So yeah, I think that's a really great way. You really found a really good way to put your season to good use. Did you add any new students on this year?
Yes, we've had, I want to say maybe 6 or 7 new students this year. And I want to say a lot of them have been highly involved with the team, which is great, especially with how this year's been.
Very, very good. Well, thank you guys. We're gonna invite Exploding Bacon to tell us a little bit about their season and their innovation challenge. If there's anything we didn't ask you, we'll come back at the end, try and bring everybody back on. Super excited about having you guys join us for the scrimmage in a few weeks. Can't wait to see that robot. That sounds fantastic. If there's anything I didn't ask you that you want to add that we didn't cover right now, we'll definitely come back. We missed it. Okay. Well, thank you for being on, though. That's terrific. We always enjoy hearing from Robotics. You guys do amazing work. So we will have you back on in a few minutes. All right, in a little bit.
Right.
All right, so we're going to bring on, we got a bunch of students here from, whoops, I got, hi again, Ryan. How are you doing? Missed you. Yeah, it's hard to drive sometimes. So we've got who we have here. We have Neil from Exploding Bacon, and we've got Ash. And who else did we have? Is everybody here from Exploding Bacon? Am I missing anybody?
There's Jess. And then there should be Nick, who's joining soon.
Okay. Well, you guys can start. I only see you guys on here right now. I don't see any of the other students. So, oh, there we go. There's Nicholas.
And then Jess.
Yeah, I think she's having some technical difficulties.
Okay.
Oh,
Well, you guys can start. Maybe Ryan or Jasmine maybe step out of the studio back there, and then we'll have more room, and that the students can join a little bit more easily. So, thank you. Here we go.
Well,
Oh, Jess is
there. We go.
And share my screen so we can talk about our innovation project.
That sounds good. So welcome. You're one of our semi-finalists from the state of Florida on the Innovation Challenge. Congratulations. And Dr. Thomas is here. She's going to be listening in on your presentation. We're going to have a little conversation with her in a little bit. But I'm going to turn it over to you guys to go ahead and tell us what you did and what your project is all about. All righty. And you got a screen to share?
Yeah, it's up right now.
Okay, there you go. And I'll pull myself out here so you have.
So yeah, I guess we can start with our team's business pitch. So hi, my name is Ash.
Hi, my name is Neil.
Hi, I'm Jess, and we're from Team 1902 Exploding Bacon. There's a lot of things in life we take for granted. Everyone knows that exercise is vital for staying mentally and physically healthy, but for 1/6 of the population that suffers from neuromuscular disorders, which is over 1 billion people, regular exercise can be extremely difficult and in some situations impossible. That's why we interviewed 2 experts on SMA, spinal muscular atrophy, and MS, multiple sclerosis, 2 neurodegenerative disorders that impair movement and can confine patients to walkers or wheelchairs. With their professional advice, we created NISA, or the Neurological Illness Supported Aid.
The NISA is the only leg brace that is specifically tailored to neurological illnesses, making it the first of its kind. The NISA is completely customizable to the user's individual needs using an app that scans their leg to produce a precise measurement for their brace. In addition, the NISA support systems are designed to help patients get back on their feet. It uses a liquid spring technology that holds energy as the user bends their leg and returns that energy to help the user straighten their leg. The NISA also uses high-density foam cylinders in the sole of the shoe to absorb the impact of their step and uses breathable and flexible mesh fabric to comfortably support the patient's leg.
To distribute the NISA, we'll start a nonprofit organization which utilizes open source technology. We believe that patenting our product will only inhibit the number of people we can reach, so we decided against it in order for the NISA to help as many people as possible. We'll work with doctors, nurses, physical therapists, and other specialists who can prescribe the NISA to the patients that need it the most. The freedom and stability it provides will help them get the exercise that's so vital for their conditions and give them a sense of autonomy that improves their overall quality of life.
Millions of people have some type of neuromuscular illness, which is a type of disease that disrupts or breaks down motor neurons, the cells that connect your muscles to your brain. Some are common, like MS or multiple sclerosis, and some are very rare, like SMA or spinal muscular atrophy.
It looks like we lost Jess for a second.
Yeah, Nick. Continue.
Yeah, I'm just where was she? Okay, yeah. So this can have a huge impact on patients' movement, and it comes with symptoms of muscle weakness, tremors, and balance issues that make it extremely difficult to get regular exercise. The NISA supports and stabilizes the leg to facilitate regular exercise, which is especially important in the case of these conditions. Regular exercise can stop the deterioration of symptoms and even improve certain neuromuscular conditions. As for mental health, the autonomy of being able to walk without the use of a walker or wheelchair will give patients a boost in confidence and help to mitigate feelings of helplessness and depression that are usually seen alongside these conditions.
There is no cure for most neuromuscular disorders, but there are gene therapies and other treatments that can slow down the progression of these illnesses. Unfortunately, these treatments are costly and can be anywhere from $400,000 to $2.1 million for a 5-year treatment plan that includes physical therapy. Our solution is the NISA, a device that uses game-changing technology to help patients living with these illnesses get back on their feet. Using a revolutionary liquid spring, we can hold energy when the leg is bent by compressing liquid silicone molecules and return that energy to help the user in straightening their leg. Additionally, we use high-density foam inside cylinders that make up the shoe's sole, absorbing the impact from the user's step. Using a combination of these innovative technologies, we can improve the quality of life for millions of people and get them back on their feet.
Here is a more detailed version of our cost plan, including the price for each component, the cost of labor, and the time to make. The 2 kilograms of filament are displayed here, $40, along with the mesh fabric being $10 and the liquid spring being $1,200. The cost per hour is also displayed, a total of $15 per hour. Overall, the cost to make a brace is $1,339, and we plan to sell them for $2,000 to cover the cost of distribution and production. The process of getting a brace has been simplified into 3 main steps. First, patients scan their leg with the NISA app, and using AI, the app gives the necessary measurements needed to begin 3D printing the frame of the device. Since NISA aims to pair with medical professionals and doctors, patients can go to their local hospital and work with specialists to determine more exact details about their future brace. 3D printing, which is designed to fit on any generic 3D printer, is begun and the materials are gathered. The final step is assembly, in which the product is made and given to the patients, helping them with their first steps to a more independent and healthy lifestyle.
That is the end of our presentation, and now we are ready for any follow-up questions.
We can't hear you.
Sorry about that. I muted myself because I haven't used anything online for the last year. So were you able to hear everything okay, Dr. Thomas?
I sure did, yes.
Yeah, that was quite a presentation. I'll step out so you can all chat.
Thank you.
Oh, fantastic. Well, thank you all so very much for that exploding bacon robotics. It was a very nice pitch in terms of what your product is and the problem that it's going to address and who your primary customer may be. So a couple of questions that I'd like to bring to your attention or maybe engage with you on is, have you thought about what that total market is that you're going to be pursuing? I know you give a cost analysis of your particular product, but what's the potential, right, in terms of that market? Have you looked at that?
Yes, we have. So, well, the NISA sits in a unique position because there is pretty much no other brace that is specifically tailored to neurological illnesses, as I said in the presentation. But what we could compare it to would be prosthetics and other drugs like Zolgensma or Spinraza that help patients get back on their feet. But like I said, these treatments are costly. So the drug market is extremely big, but that is not really the best thing to compare it to. So the prosthetics market and the orthotics market is approximately $6.1 billion. So that's some potential customers over there, because a lot of the treatments, common treatments for MS and SMA are physical therapy that can be costly, and also different prosthetics and different things like that. But as I mentioned, there's also the drug market, which is at an extremely high price as well. So,
but so that prosthetics market is really a huge market that you can impact and possibly bring something to that market that's new and innovative. I love the design. I love the liquid spring technology and bringing that forward. And so another question I have, when you talk about the cost of it, and you're going to charge the $2,000. Did I get that correct?
Yeah.
for the cost. Okay, so when you think about who's actually going to be making the decision to select the NISA, is it going to be the doctor? Will it be the patient? Or will it be the insurance company? Right? In terms of who's making that decision to actually pay the $2,000. What have you thought about that a little bit?
Well, it is a medical expense, so I'd assume insurance covers some of it. And it's also like a medical device, so doctors need to make sure that it's correct for the patients to use it. This isn't something you can just get off of shelves on like a store, more of a prescribed device.
So do you mean who would, as looking at your question, do you mean like who would decide that the patient actually needs this?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean? Well, they're physical therapists and they're doctors, and we plan to work hand in hand with medical professionals. And we've actually talked to a few medical professionals on SMA and MS, and they, and yeah, so
right.
Yeah,
so when we talk
medical
about
professionals.
that value proposition, right? And looking at who may be your primary customers or target customers. So we know we're going to meet the need for the individual patient, but it may, as you said, be those doctors and those physical therapists that are actually going to recommend to that patient the NISA, right? So we also need to make sure that we're cultivating that particular customer segment to make sure they understand the benefits of the technology. And then, the insurance company also may have a say in terms of whether or not they will cover that cost. And so that's definitely something to consider and maybe understand some of that dynamics just in case the question comes up, right? From one of the judges. So at least you would have thought about it.
Thank you.
We lost you there briefly, Jess. So did you want to add anything? I think everybody covered everything really well. I think it's a great idea, and well thought out.
Yeah.
Was there anything in your portion of the team that you wanted to add, or that you feel would be helpful?
I think Jess had a story to tell about the SMA and MS.
No, is she frozen again?
I think she's gone again.
Okay, we're sorry you're having trouble, Jess. Do you know what the story is?
Yeah, so actually we were consulting with our mentors about this, and we actually came across the story of a little girl who was 9 years old, I believe, and she, because of different drug treatments and because of physical therapy, she was able to overcome her living with MS and SMA, and she is now able to walk on her own two legs, and that is a really amazing accomplishment because it really shows how working hand in hand with biotech engineering and working with medical professionals, we can really accomplish something in this world. And I hope that our message with the NISA portrays that.
Yeah, that even demonstrates even more, right, the need for the technology that you all are engaged in. And that made me think about another question that I have. So when you talk about the NISA, can the NISA be actually, what's the word I'm looking for? Can it be used at any age for any body type?
So one of the things we focused on in our design and in our kind of ideation process was trying to figure out a way to make something that was a solution that could work for many different demographics. And so kind of the main reason we went to like the additive manufacturing method of 3D printing and scanning was so that we could make braces for any individual of any age, of any size, and have that all handled with some automatic software so that things would be very easy and very cheap, and we wouldn't have to put essentially like human resources into redesigning braces for individuals of different size. We just make a scalable product.
Exactly.
So that's another value proposition, right? In terms of that personalized, well, now they call it precision medicine, right? Looking at how you can add that personalized touch to fit a certain body type, right? A certain age group. And so again, that's another value proposition. So you may want to highlight that.
Yeah, definitely. You're muted.
You're muted again.
You're muted, Terry.
I'll never learn. Thank you again, guys. It was absolutely fantastic. I'm sorry Jess was having trouble. We'll bring everybody back on in a little bit. To go over some of these things. I think the Innovation Challenge turned out to be a really fun addition to the season. And it really helped give another dimension to the things that you have to do given the lack of the tournament experience. But I hope they keep it. I think it's really interesting to see what you all can come up with, and I think there's a lot of brain power out there among students that could really help solve some serious problems. So thank you guys for putting as much work as you did into that.
Thanks so much for having us.
All righty. So
congratulations.
I think you can probably all stay in. I don't think we have too many students. So I'm going to pull you guys out and bring Edgar, Allan, Ohms in, and we're going to hear from them. All righty.
Awesome.
So, give me a second here. All right. That was it. That was fascinating. That was really, really great. So we've got with us next, we have Will Vu, and he's alone out there. So you could take out your mask, Will, if you want. We can hear you better. And we have Jaleese. And I'm going to give them a brief introduction, and I'm going to pull us out, and they're going to take it away and explain their project. And welcome, Edgar, Allan, Ohms, Team 5276, based right here at the AMROC Fab Lab. Looking forward to hearing. I know a little bit about your project, but why don't you tell the world what you guys have come up with? You there?
Yes.
Okay. I think you're muted, Will.
Sorry.
There
okay,
you go. All right. So you want to kick it off with a technical overview first and then move on to the full story? Or do you want to, however you guys want to proceed?
So our problem is that annually more than 700,000 people suffer from a stroke in the United States. After suffering from a stroke, victims can experience a variety of effects ranging from weakness, paralysis, and problems with coordination. Complications, the brain can allow for it to recover from such alterations. It requires a long period of physical therapy to activate, which is both mentally and physically draining on the stroke victims. Thus, many physical therapists employ machines designed specifically for helping stroke victims regain muscle control. However, these machines can cost upward of tens of thousands of dollars and require frequent trips to the therapist's office, which can be both impractical for many victims who can no longer drive and unsafe during the current pandemic. To solve such problems, we believe that it should be possible to build a small sensor that attaches to the muscle of the patient and then connects to the patient's smartphone to play a game that helps make muscle exercises fun and easy to gauge, a low-cost and more entertaining solution.
Yeah, so how we're going to achieve that is we're going to have what is basically a real small device that can attach to the user's bicep and actually have a similar device that uses the same kind of concept to measure the muscle signals. You can see it's right here. It's a real tiny device, and it connects to your arm through these small little pads. And essentially, it's going to touch your arm. Another lead is going to go to your elbow, and then from there, the device is going to be able to measure the muscle actions through the little electrical difference between your muscles as your brain signals it. And so what we're going to do is that our device is going to have, the capability to take this data and then digitize it and then send it over to the smartphone or to the user's smartphone, where it will be, input into an app. And then from there, we can do all sorts of gamification with that data. So, a physical therapist can, using that app and using the device, set like various kinds of goals and activities for the user to do. That way, they can really, test out their muscles and, help recover better from a stroke.
I'll leave it on mute. Okay. So you guys are obviously in the early stages of getting your next stage of presentation together for the Innovation Challenge, right? I hope you took good notes with exploding bacons, because that was pretty sharp. And so who did you talk to? I'm going to bring Dr. Thomas in here too for the conversation. Who did you talk to? I know we had somebody come in. We had an occupational therapist come in.
So we had an occupational therapist come in herself and to kind of give us some insight on the difficulties between interaction with her and her patients, and especially during these times. So she kind of gave us some insight on how we can really make our product better and more efficient for the occupational therapist, and not just them, but the patient as well. So she was very helpful.
I'm going to let Dr. Thomas grill you now too. I'm going to step out.
Hi, and thank you all so very much for that. I was in a car accident, some years ago, and I actually had to go through physical therapy on, my left arm. And so I can see how this particular device would have helped me in terms of being more engaging and, as you say, having fun with the process of physical therapy. And so when you all talk about that gaming piece, because that's an interesting piece, right? So have you thought, so we know the problem that you're addressing, the technology that you want to use to address it. And so, of course, there's some other pieces that you have to think about and actually engage with based on the conversation with the expert. So we have to look at the market, right? The market that you're going to be serving, such as people like me. And who's going to be that primary customer? Will it be the patient itself? Will it be the occupational therapist? Will it be the doctor? So some of those same questions and thoughts you need to think about and understand who your customer is, because that brings you back to, based on that customer, what's the value proposition that the customer will get from that? Who's going to pay for it? Things of that nature. And so when we talk about that gaming aspect of it, that's another value proposition, right? And so have you thought any more about the integration of the gaming piece?
Yeah, for that part, we're still in development about it. But what we kind of wanted to do was, when we talked to the occupational therapist, she mentioned existing systems out there, such as like the Nintendo Wii. You have a little joystick, and then you can move that around to move around your muscles. And then she liked the games that were on there, like the various sports games. But the problem with those was that it was really easy to kind of fake it. You could just take that remote and just wag it back and forth, and then it looked like you're doing the thing. So we were aiming to kind of replicate the kinds of games and systems that they kind of had on the Nintendo Wii. Make it fun, make it entertaining, especially for children. But this time, more accurately measure the movement of the muscles for the physical therapist to see and log.
Okay. So in your thought process and looking at your iterations, have you considered, as I asked, the other group, have you considered the age group that you may target for this? And can it be used on every muscle in the body, or is it specific to the limbs? So have you thought about that?
Yeah, for sure.
If I'm not, I believe we chose to go with the younger age group. I believe. Little kids. It was more common in that group than any other. So get more. First of all, more publicity because there's more as well.
Yeah, you're breaking up, Jazz.
You're losing your audio, Jalise. We lost most of your audio there. Do you want to take it from there? I'm not able to hear Jalise too well.
If I'm breaking up, I'll let Will take it.
Yeah. Coming off from what Jalise said, yeah, we are kind of targeting more of the younger demographic, simply because when you're kind of doing physical therapy for them, it can be really boring. Like all these muscle movements, like over time, they're kids, they want to play around. So that's why we created this device. And then especially the gamification aspect of it. And then in terms of the the versatility of this device, really right now we're focusing on just getting it working for the mainly the arm and the bicep, because that's one of the more common scenarios. But this device can be used for all different parts of your body. I believe only though like the limbs, like you said, and like on the surface. But yeah, in the future, we want to expand this platform to cover, all over the body.
Okay. Do you have plans to talk with additional experts just to make sure that you're addressing the problem accurately and offering a viable solution?
Yes, indeed. Actually, I believe we want to come visit the physical therapist again, that we can really present this idea and see what her thoughts are on it. But we definitely want to reach out and see from various experts, especially maybe non-physical therapists, maybe see if other doctors have different applications for how they could use this device, because really measuring those muscle signals, that can be applied to all sorts of scenarios. Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, so you've looked at the number of individuals that can be impacted by your device. I would also suggest that you look at that cost analysis and possibly know who your other competitors may or may not be, in looking at that cost analysis. So that'll give you a really good idea of the market that you can actually, take advantage of or penetrate with your technology. So it'd be good to look at that as well.
Sure.
Let's see. Okay, so you have your business pitch, you have your innovation impact, you have your design. So yeah, just so some of those things that I suggested, I would definitely look into that and talking with more experts and clearly define what your closed loop design is, right? And be tight on how you're presenting that closed loop design, that completed design, right? To potential venture capitalists, right, who may want to invest in the technology. And so understanding all of those parameters.
I think that's a good point you bring up, Dr. Thomas, because I think a lot of these things, although they're solving problems for people, the customer is not always just the patient, right? The customer is often going to be the specialists or the different segments of the medical field. So I think that's really something interesting that in the insurance companies, right? Is it viable for them, right? Unfortunately. So.
Absolutely. In our discussions here at the University of South Florida, working with our I-Core site, which is funded by the National Science Foundation, even for my glucose sensing technology, these are the types of questions that we were asked when we were trying to pitch our device and looking at, right, the market, the customers. And so in our discovery, we did find out that, it may be the insurance company that decides which glucose sensor the actual patient, gets to use and select. And the doctor may recommend a certain, continuous monitoring glucose sensor, but will the insurance company pay for it? So, these are just dynamics and questions that you need to be prepared to, just in case the judges bring it up.
What is the most persuasive to an insurance company? I mean, is there a key element there? I'm curious about that when all these technologies become available.
Right. Well, I mean, like we found in our discovery, like anything else, they look at trends in the market, they look at supply and demand, right? They look at what doctors are recommending, almost like a pharmaceutical salesman from back in the day, right? When they used to go and visit the doctor's offices and show them the new pharmaceutical drugs that were coming out. And so some of it is that process. But there's a lot that goes into it, particularly when you're looking at, and for this group, right, that data that you talked about that you're collecting. So the doctors are looking at how efficient, how the performance of the devices that they're recommending, and, customer satisfaction with the devices. So these are things that ultimately you will have to be concerned with, because based on that data, right, the doctor may have a certain recommendation, or the insurance company may have a certain monetary limit that they may pay for a particular device, just based on their policies, their protocol, and their return, their margin when you talk about those dollars.
And that adds a whole other layer of to all of these things.
Yeah.
It's amazing, there's so many aspects of it that you have to consider, and it really changes up the challenges behind this. I was looking to see if any of our 1902 students wanted to come back on. I don't see their cameras on. If they're still around and want to hop back on, we can, touch base a little bit more. I found this really fascinating. I think it's really interesting that it was such a broad and open-ended challenge, right? Use technology to solve a health and mental health and wellness issue. There we go. There's Nicholas.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I think the teams have, in terms of their idea iterations and coming to the point where they are now in clearly identifying these problems and needs, I think is very important in the outset, and then drilling down what that technology is, and then looking beyond that technology to the market. So I think you all have done a great job in terms of going through those steps and understanding, again, value proposition, what your market, your customer base is, and how you move forward. And again, as we talked about, there's certain, cost analysis that goes with that, which some of you've done, and also looking beyond the technology. So nice job.
So do any of you have any questions for each other or for Dr. Thomas after having the opportunity to present to her? Also, this is a really good time to persuade her to be a judge. I'm just saying. I'll pull out so I can get some of the other students in here too.
Okay. Any questions? Any thoughts? Any suggestions? Right? You're apprehensive about the competition, or you're excited about it? What's going on with your thoughts? You looking forward to the competition?
They've all gone silent, forcing me to come into the stream. Here, we'll go all Brady Bunch here. Here we go. There we go. Look at all the people we got on.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. So that, this particular challenge and all of the innovation challenges give you an opportunity to build a skill set that you wouldn't necessarily get in a classroom, right? So you all are actually becoming business-minded innovators. When you think through this process and all of the components that you have to learn and be able to articulate is very important, even moving beyond the classroom. So it's, I think it's incredible in terms of the skill set that you're picking up here that can lend itself not only to your academics, but also to your career progression. So keep that in mind too when you're picking up these skills.
I don't think we can.
Okay, there we go. I'm back. Really appreciated you coming on and listening to the students, and obviously they're in different stages of development for their presentations. They've just, I think, did Exploding Bacon resubmit like an enhanced version of your presentation? Yeah. So yeah, they gave them an opportunity after they were semi-finalists to enhance the presentation. I did see what the Ohms did, and it looks really good too. Obviously, you got to get to the presentation stage next. But I think you're all on a really great path there. I'd love to see some of these actually become things. I think that's exciting, and we'll definitely keep us posted on how you're doing and what you want to where you want to go with this next. Did any of you have ideas? I mean, do you think you'd like to see the innovation challenge continue?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, come on. Just went out.
So would you like to see the innovation challenge continue? Do you think this is something that's a good element of the program?
Yeah, definitely. It's a lot of fun working on more of a kind of a business project thing in addition to the normal robots.
Yeah.
Now you wonder if he'll say that when you actually have to build a robot and take it to a tournament at the same time. So
yeah. We got one done this year, so we'll see.
Well, that's awesome. Well, you guys did great. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing your projects. And although this is the last, we have to show this. We got a comment.
Hey, hello, friends.
So there we go. Whoops, it came back. So, while this is our last Infinite Recharge live stream, we're going to continue to be doing programs throughout the year. We're hoping to have some form of Roboticon again this year, and we hope you'll all be there. We had a good time with our virtual event, and hopefully, there's Jasmine. We'll bring her back in so we have a full party here. All right. So hopefully we'll be able to do something in person or some kind of an event, and we hope that you'll all be part of it. And we certainly look forward to seeing some of you at the scrimmage at Shamrock. That's going to be fun. And thank you all, and good luck with the rest of your season. And thank you to everybody who's been watching out there. And look for the recording. We'll share the recording around so you can share it with the rest of your team. Folks can always go look at it and share it. And we'll be back again with some more cool stuff later this year. All right. So thank you all. All right. Well, I'll do the Brady Bunch wave here. Here we go. All right.